This is NFA Talk, the show that talks about guns and gun rights, keeping you up to date with what's currently going on, from the newest guns, promotions, and events, plus how we're lobbying for your rights.
All right, we're back with another episode of NFA Talk. I'm Jordan Vandenhoff. Joining me tonight, we have Rick Iggersich, Robert Bracken, and Dwayne Gorniak. We have a lot on the go, and we have some news that happened this afternoon. C21 passed second reading, so I think we're going to start off tonight with that, and then we'll work our way down to what's going on with the gun shows. So everyone that's here, thank you for joining us. Hey guys, thanks for joining us tonight, and let's start with C21. Past second reading. I don't think we were really surprised. We were kind of hoping that maybe we wouldn't see it happen before they break for the summer, but last day and they squeaked it in. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Oh yeah, it's been that C21's been a roller coaster ride, Jordan. Last week it went to SECU, and it was they were going to try to push an OIC through. That didn't happen. There was a no vote on that. And now they extended Parliament. Actually, the Parti Québécois was pretty upset because this is a official Quebec holiday, and they had to go to Parliament for the second reading of C21. But they're definitely trying to fast track it as fast as they can. They want to get the handgun freeze going as quick as they can.
Right. So now it's going to move into the SECU committee, and they're going to be analyzing this, which I'm pretty sure they're going to pass it with no amendments, and then we move into the third reading. What do you think that means for us? Like they can hold these meetings over the summer, so I'm a little worried that that excuse the pun, but Trudeau might pull the trigger on this one and go a little early on the freeze. Right? Anybody comments?
I think that possibly could. You know what? This whole thing, we're unsure what's going to happen. This is just like the original OIC gun ban. They could drop it on us on any time. I don't know if it's going to happen this summer or not. I'm not going to make a guess either way. But you know what? It's not beyond them to do something and surprise us.
Right.
What do you think, Dwayne? Robert,
Dwayne, you with us?
Yeah. Robert, what do you think?
I don't know. It's judging from his behavior. When he's already spent ample energy and time on one crisis, God only knows what is going to happen. Again, they're legislatively, it's nothing's going to happen any further with the bill itself. But as far as an OIC, your guess is as good as mine, just based upon their previous behavior.
Yeah.
Right. So I've been doing my shopping in the meantime. As far as I know, like any transfers that have started prior to them jumping into OIC or before the freeze, they are going to honor. So I'm looking. There's a few that I'd like to add to my collection. Hopefully I can find them. The stores are pretty dry right now, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I actually watched an interview with Public Safety Minister Marco Mendocino today with the media, and they asked him some poignant questions. And he basically skated around the whole thing. He keeps going back to everything's going to be safer because of this bill and stuff, but he couldn't answer the questions. The biggest one is how it's affecting firearms owners across Canada. He doesn't seem to care about that. All he seems to, this is just another, in my opinion, this is just another political ploy to take some heat off the Liberals.
Right.
So, to add to that, it just creates another divide again in the country between rural and urban, really, right? Because these laws really affect urban people, rural people more than they do urban, unless they're a sports shooter and have handguns or anything like that. But there's other little things hidden in C21 other than handguns. Like they're talking about coming after magazines. Am I correct on that, Jordan?
No, you're correct.
Like for bolt action guns, right? Bolt action rifles. So
All rifles limited
All
to
rifles,
5
all
rounds.
long guns, all long guns, and
And,
that's the
and
way
I'm
they
just-
worded long guns. And it's not clear if that means shotguns or not. But my impression is a long gun's a shotgun. I could be wrong, but the way they worded it's all long guns with a maximum capacity of 5 rounds in the magazine tube or whatever device holds the
right.
rounds. I don't know. It's there's more. You're right. There's more to this bill than that. There's the red flag laws, the yellow flag laws. There's a lot of stuff in this bill, but what it's hard to I don't know. It's just hard to say where it's going, and I think the Liberals are bound and bent to push. My opinion is they're bound and bent to push this thing through as fast as they can. What do you think, Jordan?
Absolutely, no, absolutely. They have to push this through. They got the momentum. They got the NDP block backing them. They have the block. The block was pretty iffy because they're voting different than what I expected. They do want to see amendments. They do want to push forward on a few other things. Of course, it's still not good for firearms owners, but they are voting. It's good to see that they're standing up and they're just not following suit. And of course, all the Liberals and the Green Party, they're also voting in favor of the Liberals. So it's hard because like in the House when they do debate and they did a time allocation, which means we don't get the full chance to debate this. They're going to ram it through. There's always been good points by the Conservative Party. Saying what is this going to do? What is this going to do? Is targeting sports shooters, law-abiding citizens that follow the rules. They're not the problem. Statistics show they're not the problems, and the liberals keep saying we're just going to get rid of the handguns because that makes total sense. But no, it doesn't, because handguns are coming in from the United States. They're not sold in Canada. They're not coming from straw purchases. They're coming from smuggled routes coming in from the United States. They talked about this in the SECU. They know where the guns are coming in from. Why haven't they done anything yet? They can't. They don't have the resources. They don't have the funding for that. So instead, they're going to do the simple solution, pretend to make the community safe, and in a year and a half to 2 years, we're going to be right back here with gun violence is on the rise. They're going to be telling us that gun violence is on the rise, and we're going to have to do more gun control, and it's still not going to do nothing.
This they're using a tiered approach. First, they started with the OIC. And then they moved to Bill C-71, which basically is a backdoor registry. Actually, it's a gun registry 2.0. It's not even a backdoor registry because all we're doing right now is just keeping records for the government. And now with C-21, I tell you what, I challenge the public safety minister to come on NFA Talk and on a live NFA Talk and discuss this with Canadians. The politicians are supposed to be the voice of the people. Well, Marco, come on NFA Talk and let the people talk to you and voice their opinions. The common consensus with the Liberal Party seems to be that gun owners across Canada are in favor of this. Well, you know what? Here's your chance to come and listen. We at the NFA represent around 75,000 members that are firearms owners. So why don't you come out and answer some questions from our listeners? We're right across Canada. Like I say, politicians are supposed to be the voice of the people. Why don't you come out and listen to the people, Marco?
That'd be really interesting. You know
what? I'm calling them out right now. Like, come on out.
But
if you want it to be just me and him, I'm fine with that. But me and him and the people across Canada who need to be on this.
It's funny though, because like they keep saying that they consult all the stakeholders. As far as I know, and I might be wrong, but they have not consulted any of the pro-gun organizations. So it's
nobody called me.
They don't. If you remember when mendacious Marco Polo Mendicino made one of his announcements with Police Civil and made that egregious comment that that the registry helped find Marc Lépine, and the answer is no. They found Gamil Garbi in École Polytechnique after he'd killed 14 women, and the Universal Registry didn't come in until C-68, which is 1995. I think it was Calvert Mag that pointed that out to him. 2 egregious lies, and he was surrounded by his friends at Police Civil. And of course, if you remember, a few years ago, that show on CPAC, Blind Date, he had a meeting with Glenn Motz, and of course they go to one person's territory, then the other. Well, Glenn took him to a range. Marco Polo wouldn't fire around. He just sat there and watched other people shoot, including some little kids who were having fun. And I guess it's too traumatic for him. Maybe he's trauma informed, to use the Mass Casualty Commission terminology. I don't know. So that's probably a non-starter, knowing his history. And just, but what really angers me, and should anger more people, is to have a sitting cabinet minister in that portfolio to know so little about what he's supposed to know.
Right.
You know what? After the interview today, he really, in my opinion, he really doesn't know a lot. I think, you know what, this is just a Bill Blair carryover. Those guys, you know, with the OIC with Blair, and then on to Marco now. Those guys, they're politicians, and they're looking down the road and they're looking for ways to take the heat off themselves right now with all the stuff that's going on with the Liberals. And, you know, from what I see, it's pretty tense with the Liberals and the NDP right now. There's a lot of heat right now. And the firearms community has always been the scapegoat. The last two elections is a prime example. We've always been the scapegoat. We're the go-to for the Liberals to take the heat off themselves.
Yeah,
Right.
It's both, Rick. It's both a way of scapegoating us and getting out of other things, but it's also fulfilling their civil disarmament ideology, which in its current form has been going on since the late '60s.
Well, you know, the word out there is that the United Nations has got a directive to get rid of all firearms by 2030. So, you know how Justin Trudeau is in the pocket of the United Nations. So that explains a lot right there too, Robert.
Right.
And how?
Dwayne, you got anything on this one?
I can't remember what I was going to say. But...
He's just
all right.
He's enthralled in the conversation right now.
No, I'm sure he's. You know, we talked before the show, and I think he's still a little angry about the news of the second reading.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you know what? Like the show is supposed to be about the gun show, so I think we'll get back now that we got that out of the way. Let's get back to the gun shows. You know, Rick, you've been to a couple gun shows. Dwayne, you've been to a couple gun shows since a new LGR 2.0 came into play. And what's going on?
Well, the first one I went to was in Woodstock, Ontario, and turnout was, I would say, about average. But the problem was this portal for this gun registry 2.0 didn't start working until about 10 or 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and people were leaving mad. People had made deals. They couldn't complete the deals because they couldn't get a transfer number. And that actually spread on to the next one, which was in Ancaster, Ontario, which was a couple weeks ago. When I got there, this was a pretty big building, and I would say I should have put some pictures up. I would say that the building, about 60% of the tables were empty, which was I've never seen in an Ontario gun show. And usually through the gate, there's probably 2,000 or 3,000 patrons. Ontario gun shows are really short. They start basically at 7:30 in the morning go till 1 in the afternoon. So it's a big mad rush to get in there. But I would say 200 people, 250 people might have come through the door. I talked to the organizer, and he was disappointed. And I actually heard that day that all the rest of the Woodstock gun shows were canceled for the year. And I don't know about the Ancaster gun show, but that's the direction. That's the direction I think he's going, because you know what, he can't even cover his overhead with a couple hundred people coming through the doors. So this has been a devastating blow to gun shows. Devastating. You know, this portal thing doesn't work half the time, and even when it does work, people get denied because of the wrong email address. I've heard all kinds of stories out there. It's nothing short of ridiculous, but you know, it's definitely deterring people from coming to gun shows, and if you don't have participants, gun shows are basically dead. Dwayne?
So, yeah, June 11th and 12th, I went up to Radway, Alberta, for their very first gun show, and that was done by the Radway Agricultural Society. And again, for the people who are watching this, who are on the fence, if you're a little uneducated about it, you know, I've said it before, a gun show in Canada is a lot like a farmer's market or a trade show. And these things happen all throughout rural Canada, and they're a big part of our economy. So with this Radway show, the organizer there, Neil, I was talking to him a few times on the phone. It was a really nice facility. So if this show ever does get to take off, maybe once we get a better government someday, it would be a really cool facility. They had everything there. They had the elderly ladies, some younger ones too, cooking, making pies, burgers, Ukrainian platters, the whole 9 yards. So the amenities are there. They had campgrounds for all the vendors, showers, stuff like that. And there's not a lot of these facilities that I see have that many amenities for the vendors. So it was pretty cool that way. Anyway, they were a little devastated, and upset about the fact that the vendors all backed out at the last minute. So talking to Neil, the organizer there, he was telling me, he says, I can't understand. He said, it all happened within 2 hours. And so I explained to him, I said, well, I can understand how it happens. The gun vending community, all the gun owners, it's a very tight-knit community. All the vendors that go to these shows, they all know each other. So back to what you're talking about, Rick, with the infrastructure of the portal, the online verification process and all that, as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much engineered. The liberals keep saying that, the RCMP and the liberals keep saying it's bogged down, the system's crashing, the servers can't handle the traffic. And obviously they're not putting any effort into fixing that infrastructure to make it any better for the vendors. And that's why I say it's engineered, right? When all of this stuff started coming down with the OIC, right here in the NFA, we had our own servers crash for about 30 minutes because our membership started going through the roof and the traffic on our website just skyrocketed. It started going viral. And we contacted our internet provider and we upped our server speeds and space and all that kind of stuff. And within 30 minutes, we were up and running. So if the NFA can fix a problem like that, you can't tell me the government can't fix that problem. And
yeah, but Dwayne, they don't want to.
Exactly. That's why I say it's engineered, right? So back to this, as far as I'm concerned, I think gun shows are done until we get rid of the Trudeau government and hope and have a better government.
Well, and the only thing is we have to get rid of the Trudeau government, but we also have to get them to redact some of this stuff, because even if the Conservatives were to get in, these laws are still going to be in effect, and it's going to take some time. I don't know if they're going to rush at them or if they're going to do them. We don't know. We don't know what they're going to do, but I can't foresee any gun shows in the next, in the future for quite a while. I really can't, because there's no way this can be done. And if they put a handgun freeze on, they're going to put a handgun freeze on. It's just a matter of time. When that handgun freeze happens, that's going to take a certain percentage of the people there, the people selling their wares. That's going to take a certain percentage of them out. There's nothing left. I used to go to gun shows. I used to see a lot of stuff, a lot of ARs, 50 cals, SKSs, Mini 14s, and a lot of handguns. But you take part of the product away. It doesn't leave that much. They're going to turn into kayaks and fly fishing poles. And you know what? I have a lot more fun on the range with a 44 Magnum than I ever did in a kayak or a fly rod.
Yeah. And back to what I was saying, what I didn't finish explaining when I said, Neil was saying that everybody backed out of that show within 2 hours. I was explaining how the vendors all know each other. Well, they all start phoning each other. And, it takes one vendor, he phones another vendor and says, hey, are you going to this show? I can't get any verifications to go through. There's no sense of me going to the show. And then that vendor says, yeah, I'm having the same problem. Then he phones the other vendor. And just like happened at the show, a dozen vendors all backed out at the last minute. And obviously you had the same issue in Ancaster there as well, Rick, right?
Yes, I did.
So what their plan is working. This is what they want.
Sure.
Cause so much, put so much red tape out there. It's so difficult to do everything. Everybody said, you know what? It's not worth it. Who cares? We're done. Yeah. That's exactly what they want. Robert, what's your take?
Well, that everything he said was true, and Dwayne's take on it, and how this can happen so quickly, and that is part of it. This is destroying the culture is a big part of it, and of course trying to keep youth involvement, and of course if you remember correctly, and Rick will remember this, in the wake of C-68 passing, then Liberal Senator Sharon Carstairs' infamous comments when she was pushed on it, and she said something along the lines of, quote, C-68 isn't necessarily about gun or crime control, but it's about the first necessary step in the social re-engineering of the country, unquote. And that's a big part of it.
Right.
Makes you wonder about some of our elected officials. It really does.
So a couple of the comments are coming in. What can we do? So part of the House of Commons is on break till September 19th, I believe. And, right now, all the MPs are making their tours. Some people call it barbecue season. They're going to be showing up at special events. Attend them. Talk to these MPs in person. Show them be civil. Show them you're displeased with what's going on, and reach out to them. Also, not just the conservative MPs. Let's attend some of these NDP events, some of these liberal events. Let's talk to these people in person. All you have to do is just show up and say, "Hey, I'm a firearms owner. I'm not happy with what's going on. You're targeting me when we're not the problem." Keep writing those letters. Everybody thinks they're useless. No, they're not. They're still write them. Just keep them going. There's a bunch of petitions out there. Keep signing. We have to keep moving forward on this. Unfortunately, in Canada, things work a little different. They are probably going to pass this, and we're going to have to either wait for the next government to undo this, or we are going to have to look at other options. See if there's any legal things that we can do through the court. There's a court case with the OIC right now. When the handgun freeze comes in, we'll have our legal team look at that, see if there's anything there. But Canada works a little bit different, so it's unfortunately we have to we use the law to work within the law, right? So. Unfortunately, it is what it is, folks. It really is.
Yeah. Well, just to follow up on Jordan's thing, the NFA we do have something in place. We do have a plan. We just have to let this unfold a little farther before we've got a couple plans in the direction we're going to go, but we need to see how this is going to unfold and how fast it's going to unfold before we make our move. It's too early. This bill is in its infancy right now. We're just going to have to wait till down the road a bit. But be rest assured, the NFA does have a couple plans of attack on this, and I'm sure we'll be back on NFA Talk to give you people our plans and what we're going to do when things unfold. Right now, we're only sitting at second reading, so this is a real fluid situation. So I really don't want to let the cat out of the bag on anything.
It's like a second reading passed today. It's going to go to committee. It's still got to go to third reading. It passes the House. Once it goes to the House, it goes to the Senate, and we start the process all over again. Now, you got to keep in mind that these regulations have to be tabled, and then they have 30 days in the House. So potentially, we could have a freeze by October 5th. So, if you got that handgun that you're really looking for, don't waste your time. It could go earlier, but we're pretty much looking at October 5th for them to implement that regulation.
Yeah.
So,
on that note, I'd spoken to Dwayne earlier, and we were talking about how so many of our members just choose not to inform themselves, and of course most people have internet access. And I said, as I said to Dwayne, well, one thing we could do when we have people asking us, for example, after C-71 had passed, we would have some people who own the handguns and gone to the range and asking us after it passed, what's the deal with C-71? And of course, that's where you have that, you're kidding me mode. And of course, on our own NFA.ca website, I think underneath media, you can actually go and find what Canadian gun owners need to know about C-71. This is about 18 pages long, but it breaks it down beautifully into the different parts of it and what will have to be brought forward with legislation. So the whole breakdown is there, and I've used that, it shows. And another thing is, too, you can actually go on the House of Commons website and go on the order table, since it's 2022, and you can read bills, and not just C-71, you can read C-21. And if you have trouble with the legalese, you can talk to people about it. And then, of course, you've got the Justice Laws website where many of the regulations are kept that aren't in the criminal code, and you can also see that online. And for anything concerning the U.S., if you want to know what's going on there, look at Dr. John's website, crimeresearch.org, which dispels a lot of myths. And I say that because, again, often the U.S. gets pulled into the argument. And what I've told MPs in the past is, if you're going to say Canada isn't the U.S., you should add that if you're going to keep pulling the U.S. into this conversation, at least have an honest conversation, and you could dispel many myths, such as they lead the world in mass shootings, which they don't. And there's a lot of good information there. And I like to direct our readers to that, and followers, and also politicians themselves. And I've had to have that chat with a couple of MPs.
Yeah, and the NFA will be releasing the same type of paper if C21 does go through. We'll be putting out an information sheet on that one also.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. So, do we have anything else we got going on right now?
Well, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news with a little bit of controversy with the RCMP commissioner and stuff has popped up in the days. I don't know which way that's going to go. You guys have any opinions on that?
Well, one thing, semi-retired investigative journalist Paul Palango, who of course has written his book 22 Murders, he had a recent column about that, and he describes that, as bad as it is, Lucky is probably close to retirement, and they're using that as a smokescreen to distract away from the actual killing of Gabriel Wortman, which looked as if it was planned and a hit, and it wasn't accidental. Those two Mounties and their story about showing up at the Enfield Big Stop and seeing him, that doesn't jibe with the previous video evidence they have over in Elmsdale, where he had initially tried to fill up, and it's putting the lie to what they've said, and it looks as if they'll be using this in part as a smokescreen to distract away from what really happened, because it's looking as if Wortman was executed, and God only knows what they were trying to cover up in that.
For you people that don't know, Robert was part of the Mass Casualty Commission doing an investigation on that. Him and our lobbyist Charles Zatch were on that, and Robert did a you did a detailed I guess it was an information paper about the whole thing, Robert. I don't know what else you would call it, and it was really good. If people could have a listen to that. We're out there on wherever it's at on.
Well, we do have it on our social media, so
yeah.
It's on our YouTube channel. Yeah. You can watch Robert do a speech.
Yeah. It was very well thought out and very well done.
Thanks. It was a bit unwieldy, but what we were trying to do is discount Blake Brown's his testimony, which is why it was all over the place and trying to hit specific points. For anyone who has a copy of it, which I can make available, I can point out where I started and why I said what I did. So if you're familiar with it, that makes it more manageable.
Yeah, I think that would be another real interesting debate on NFA Talk would be Blake Brown and Robert having a discussion on key points. Don't you think that would be good, Robert? Are you up for that?
I'm up for that, especially since I live in such close proximity to Mr. Brown. I haven't seen him around, though.
Yeah. Okay, so the second challenge of the night goes out, Mr. Brown. Come on NFA Talk. We'll do a live NFA Talk with Robert Bracken, and we'll discuss some key points about firearms in general. You're more than welcome to come out.
We definitely know they're watching us. So
yeah, I know they're watching us. That's why I'm making these invitations.
Right.
Actually, they're not invitations; they're challenges. Because you know what? If these guys preach what they say, come on out and challenges on it.
Right. In the comment section, everybody wants to hear from Gary Mauser. So maybe we should throw an invite out there too.
Yeah, we'll invite Gary out, and Gary is a well-written, well-spoken person on this stuff. He's probably one of the best spoken people about this stuff, so we'll get him on here.
Yeah, Mike threw up a comment here. Yep, wrong one. Here we go. Not watching Spying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, somebody said Solomon Friedman. I've been talking to Solomon, and there's a chance we might be able to get him on here. I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I think Solomon would have some words of wisdom of what's going on. Like I say, I'm in contact with Solomon, so if he wants to come on here, he did mention that he might want to do a little segment, but he's super busy right now with the OIC case and stuff. So you know what, we'll see if what happens. If he does come on, if he does want to come on, we'll definitely give you guys a heads up on it. we're going to have we got an NFA talk coming up next week, I believe, Jordan, with Leslyn Lewis.
Yes, June 28th. That's a Tuesday. So yeah, normally we run on Thursdays. This time it's on a Tuesday. So that's the kickoff the CPC leadership race. Leslyn's going to be the first one on the show. She's it's not a first time for her, so she's been on the show in the last race. So I look forward to seeing her again and chatting about what she has planned for the future for the Conservatives.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we plan to hopefully get some more politicians on. Not besides the leadership candidates. I know Dwayne's got some good connections out west, and maybe we can get some of those people on here and get a. Our thing is to get a perspective from across the country. Every gun owners are on the same page, but perspectives are a little different from here and there. It's nice to get somebody from the west and from the east, and thank Robert for coming on tonight from the Atlantic provinces. We don't get our Atlantic people on here enough. We need to get them on more. Dwayne's been on a few times, but we just and we're always looking for questions from the audience too. If we can answer them, we'll answer them. So if you guys got any questions.
Yeah, see, and that's the cool thing about this show too. Like we're unscripted, we're live, and as you guys type in the comment section, we see them and we answer them. You guys kind of also dictate the show, right? So as the questions are coming through, we kind of change the direction of the way this show goes. Not only that, but I mean, like we're broadcasting across 4 or 5 different Facebook groups, our YouTube channels. I'm broadcasting on my own personal stuff as well. It's all multicast. NFA Talk is great. Unfortunately, Instagram doesn't allow us to post live because it's just their policy. So it usually goes to the Instagram crowd right after we're done. And then, of course, you can pick us up after the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yeah.
There's one question there that I'd like to answer there by Robert Parif. And so he's asking, he says, we can talk about this all day long, but what are we going to do? Are we going to do anything physical like the truckers protest? So number one, the NFA is always going to say work within the law to change the law. Be very careful on what you do there. But the biggest thing there is, like Rick mentioned early, we do have some other plans in place. We just have to see how this unfolds. But one thing that we really need every gun owner in this country to do right now, even if your MP is in support of C21 and is anti-gun and all that, you folks really need to start putting the pressure on them. You need to start rattling their cages, figuratively speaking, right? Don't get. We're not condoning.
No, we're not.
But seriously, you need to get a hold of them and start, telling them how unpleased you are, and you need to rally the troops, so to speak, in doing the same thing as well. It's we've been doing this for years, and there was some other comments here, about 75,000 members of the NFA. And when I did that Radway show, I had some guys come up there, new guys, and like, well, what are you guys doing? And well, how did it get this far? And when I started explaining to them what happened and how uneducated some of these people are about what's going on, the question comes back, well, where have you been? Why haven't you been following either? Right. So,
yeah.
Exactly.
Darth Wizzy Wizard. What do we do? How do we win? Well, you know what? Our biggest struggles with the NFA is there's a lot of firearms owners across Canada, but we're the ones that are active is a very small voice. We need to get out. We need to get your friends out. We need to get your neighbors out and get them on board. This is about more than just firearms. This is about private property. This is about being controlled by the government. What do? Our big priority is get a different government in there, and we'll deal with them when we get them in there. But till then, we just have to. Jordan mentioned earlier, we just need to contact our MPs. A lot of you out there watching this are in Liberal ridings. Call your Liberal guy. Tell your Liberal guy how you feel and what your feelings are. It's just like I mentioned earlier, the politicians are supposed to be the voice of the people. But if the people don't contact the politicians, then there's no voice. Get out there, get in the fight. Contact your MPs. Take them to task. Ask them why they're doing this. Put them on the spot. We do it all the time at the NFA. They're when they don't answer you, which 90% of the time they won't, they'll try to spin it. Then you know that you know what, he might not be the right guy for that riding. Any more comments, guys, on that?
Yeah, exactly. It's a numbers game, and if people don't speak up, then there's this tacit approval by a lack of criticism. You're not making your voice heard. And I mean, right now I'm stuck with a low information parrot who knows nothing about guns and doesn't care. But I haven't communicated with him in a long time. But I'm working on other avenues, including looking at how many people we could possibly get to a turn within the Liberano and the NDP ranks, trying to convince them that, okay, you didn't sign up for this. You didn't sign up for this pact. So I'm looking at different strategies here.
Right.
And to add to what you said, Robert, about it being a numbers game, this is something that Liberals play on our community and our culture all the time. They play it off to the media, and the left-wing media is just as bad for it. Like, we're only 2.2 million licensed gun owners. And what I tell everybody is you have to remember how many gun owners have given up the fight and how many of them were once law-abiding, used to go with it, and they become closet gun owners, so to speak, right? They've given up on the red tape and they've just hidden the guns away in the closet and they don't talk about it anymore. But then you take that 2.2 million people, you take the people that were one-time licensed, that could be as many as 3 to 4 million people that are still gun owners, but multiply that by their family members of, say, on an average of 4. They have a reach of 10 million people in this country, just about a third of the population. So don't let the government, don't let those Liberals tell you that you are as small as you are. You have a farther reach than you really think you do, and it's time we all start using that.
Yeah. There's a lot of firearms owners across Canada, and if they all got out there, there's a voice to be reckoned with, and they have to listen. And that's one of our challenges at the NFA, to get everybody out there, all these firearms owners. The very small percentage of the firearms owners actually belong to a lobby group like us. There's a lot of people out there with guns that don't, and you know what? Get them involved. The more we have behind us, the more effective we can be. Jordan?
No, absolutely. I still ask my question, why? Like, why would you not join an organization that fights for your rights? If you stay silent, we're going to lose them. Look what's happened over the years. We've lost short barrel pistols. We've lost fully automatics. We've lost, all these different prohibs over the years. We lost magazine capacity because we stayed silent. They keep chipping away. They let them have this, then they take one more, then they take one more, and then they take one more, and it keeps going. Like the hunters, handguns might not be your thing. The 3-gun shooting might not be your thing, but you know what? When they're done with when they're done with the pistols and they're done with the 3-gun, where do you think they're going to go next? Because they need that one more thing. It's going to be the shotguns. Then you're going to be crying, and you know what? By then, all the people with the 3 guns and pistols, they're not existent anymore. So you're not going to have anybody to fall back on. That's just kind of my take on things, right?
Yeah, it started a long time ago, but the big one was when they put a classification system in and grandfathered a bunch of old guys like me in for 12.6, because those guns aren't going anywhere right now. And it's going to be the death of the 12.6 class as these people are getting older and dying off. Without a better choice of words, that's what's going to happen. And those firearms basically right now, especially with this handgun freeze, at least before, if they were pre 40, 47, 46, you could get your heirs could get a 12.7 status. I've mentioned this in the past, but this new bill basically gets rid of that 12.7 status. So those guns, they're yours till you die, and then I don't even know where they're supposed to go. They really never mention if these you pass away.
It goes to the crown.
It goes to the crown, and then where do they go after that? To war zones? I don't know.
To destruction, or do they sell
Oh,
it off?
do we
you know,
know? You know, we don't know. You know, they
well,
just people need to look into this a little farther. Challenge your politicians. I don't know what do you guys think of that? You know, it just there's so many unknowns in this.
That's exactly what I said earlier. Challenge your politicians, even if they are anti-gun. Start rattling their cages, right? You know, get your family members involved, even if they are not a licensed gun owner. It doesn't matter. It's your voice matters. And like I said, you know, we could be as much as 1/3 of the population. And again, remember that that's how we've lost everything in the past. The liberals have always been good at playing divisive politics, right? You know, so they try to make us look like a small number. And again, they're already doing it between urban and rural populations, right? You know, rural is most of the gun owners, most of the rifle owners. They're doing it between brown gun owners and black gun owners, and they're playing this game out perfectly. And gun owners are buying into it. And we have to stop doing that. We all have to stand together. And that's what we've said about this organization for years. We don't care what color the gun is, whether it's black, brown, pink, silver, green, whatever. It doesn't matter. We represent all gun owners, and we all have to stand together and stop playing that divisive game and buying into
there, especially in Ontario, there's a lot of gun owners in urban centers too. Out west, you see more firearms in rural centers. In Ontario, urban centers there's a bunch of gun owners out there. And Dwayne and I and Jordan and Robert have been asking this question the last couple of weeks. Are you angry yet? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm freaking angry. This it just keeps escalating. It keeps getting worse. And you know what? Everybody else out there needs to get angry now too, because at this point, where are we at? We're going down the rabbit hole farther and farther. Voice your opinions. You know, change the law within the law. Voice your opinions. Get out there. Again, like I hate repeating myself, but it's what we have to do. We have to get out there. We have to get our word out to not only politicians, but to our friends, our neighbors. I talk to people all the time that haven't got a clue what's going on. You know, they see this stuff in the media. Oh yeah, whether they banned the dreaded assault rifles from whenever, and then you explain to them what's going on and how you worked hard and you pay taxes on that firearm, and it's not an assault rifle. You know, it's a semi-automatic rifle with different hardware, with different furniture on it. You explain that to people and they understand. But if they don't get an explanation from us, they're not going to get an explanation from the politicians. It's simple as that.
You know what's kind of interesting? So in the House, the Bloc was actually asking for the Liberals to define a military style assault rifle. And they want a definition, so they don't have. And their reasoning was so they don't have patchwork where they ban one thing, everybody buys a new one, they ban that, everybody buys a new one, and so forth. And it's really funny because the Liberals seem to be sticking away from that. And I don't know what the take is on that, because I mean, maybe they think they'll contradict themselves, and everything that they banned is not a military style assault rifle, right? Or what's the criteria? Nobody even knows what the criteria is. It's just a made up term. Let's define that first before we start banning stuff. And
well, they're coming after
that makes me angry. I'm angry now. Thanks.
And they're coming after bolt actions and lever actions now, right?
Well,
a little video I did about tube-fed magazines on lever action guns, right? Guys, your 30-30s, it's coming. Your pump action shotguns, it's coming, and it's sad that we've let it get this far, right?
Yeah. And on that mainstream media today, that Minister Mendocino, he stated they're up to 1,700 guns on the OIC, and he was all giddy and happy about that. People don't realize they're adding stuff to this every day. What's next? I'm not gonna sit here and mention any guns, because they're listening to us, and chances are, if we mention it, it's going to be on the.
They already know. They already know.
Yeah,
they already know.
But it just they might know, but I'm not going to give them any fuel for the fire. That's just the bottom line. Hey, Robert, I just wanted to ask you, what's the talk on? You're in the east there. What's the talk amongst the citizens out there? I know there's not a lot of like-minded PCs out where you are. It's kind of a red and orange country. But what are the people saying on the street out east? What's their take on this?
Probably similar to what you hear in most areas. They talk about it, but nothing serious as if what they're going to do. But there's a lot of anger. I have a lot of anger, a lot of head shaking. And I often ask people, a few Fridays ago during that protest, did you buy any protest guns? Nobody I know has. I bought a couple myself, of course.
I did.
And my registration certificates came in, so they're all
Well, you're not in Ontario because I'm not expecting mine for another couple of months. They said if there is a transfer number, it's going to go through. But you know what? I trust the Liberals about as far as I can throw them. So, they did with the OIC. They did follow through on the transfers with the ARs and stuff. But I know Dwayne was going to buy some protest guns, but everybody was sold out.
Yeah, everyone in my area was sold out. There was just. I'm working all the time, and I just.
Yeah.
Well, buy them online, Dwayne. I bought a couple myself. I'm guessing probably September, October if I'm lucky. I'll get the transfer to go through.
Yeah.
Ontario is just so backed up. Underfunded CFO office. From what I heard, there's rumors that there's only 2 people working right now in the CFO office. It's not about customer service. It's just red tape that they invented to slow us down, right?
Yeah, I mentioned a couple episodes again. I ran into a CFO at the Woodstock Gun Show when this portal was first put into place, and he didn't know a lot about it either. And I mentioned this for the people that weren't on that NFA talk. I asked the guy, I said, well, what's going on in Ontario? Why is it other provinces before the C21 came into place? Why is it in other provinces that registrations were only taking 1 or 2 days? And Ontario's, a month and a half. Private sale to sale is always longer than a gun shop to private sale. His answer to that was, well, you know what? We're way down in staff. The office is being run by I can't remember what he said, 2 or 3 people, and the files are backed up, and it's taking a long time. And he gave me the standard answer, the standard carved in stone answer, and I said, well, if you're short on people, why don't you hire more? Well, we haven't got the budget for that. Oh, you haven't got the budget for that. I see. Apparently the Liberals are going to have enough budget to allegedly buy all these firearms back, but they haven't got a budget to add a couple employees to their Aurelia office or their Miramichi office.
They don't have the money to buy these back. They're printing money like crazy as it is. We're in inflation right now, and Freeland keeps printing money like crazy. They're trying to buy their way out of inflation by spending more money. There's no way they're going to be able to afford us. And
the thing is too, our illustrious Prime Minister, every time something happens, he goes into hiding. I think he's had COVID about 9 or 10 times now, guys, something like that.
They ask him a question, COVID.
Yeah. They ask him a question. There's something happening in Ottawa. He gets COVID. He has to go into isolation.
Great. Our show just got flagged with the algorithms.
Yeah, there you go. I don't care.
Yeah. We're gonna get the little warning, right?
Yeah.
We'll get that little Facebook warning on there.
Yeah.
Piece of information.
Yeah. And that's another thing too.
I guess I should have used the beer word or something.
No, but that's another challenge that firearms owners have too. These social media companies, they're completely throwing us back in the closet. You can't talk about a gun without it going through community standards. Every time you post something, they're looking at it, and some posts get taken down, or you have to challenge posts. It doesn't help our cause at all.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Jordan's our social media director. Everybody knows that, and he's getting censored all the time. The NFA is getting censored. They what do? They shut it. They shut some.
Well, they shut our closed group down for about 2 months. A little bit of back and forth with Facebook Canada, and finally we got it reinstated. But now we have 2 groups, a backup group just in case. But it's like I don't understand here why we're following within the guidelines, right? Like posting a picture of your gun and being proud of what you have and what you do in a safe environment in a gun range, or or in your house, showing off your new purchase. How does that community standards, right?
Yeah, and then they slow down our flow also, don't they, Jordan? I'm not a social media guy, but we don't
Yeah,
get reach.
they call that the famous shadow ban. A lot of people probably know what I'm talking about. We're consistently getting shadow banned. They want to slow us down. I don't know if it's their company policy. I don't know if they have pressure from the government. I know there's. Okay, you guys are gonna have to remind me. It's starting to get late at night. What's the censorship bill? C11 is it?
Five.
C11.
11, yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be really interesting when C11 comes in and how that's gonna play on social media, especially for like we're broadcasting right now. Is NFA Talk going to be affected by that? Right. Just another form of censorship.
It needs to get killed by the Senate again.
Hopefully, it does.
C10 was killed last year, and then of course, if you remember when they had C36, which was C10 on steroids, that was wow.
Yeah. And that's the thing. According to our charter, we're supposed to have freedom of speech, but our freedom of or our free speech goes as far as the liberals let it go, because if they don't like it, it's not free speech anymore. And that's why they're pushing these Bill C11, and it's to censor us all, and everybody needs to know that. There's more reasons to change this government than just the firearms issue. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, and I hope people get on the bandwagon and see what's going on and make some changes. Somebody on here earlier asked, "Do you think Paul Avere's going to go in the right direction?" You know what? We don't know. We're hoping he will if he gets the nomination, or whoever gets the nomination. It might be somebody else, but we're hoping they're going the right direction. But we can't speculate what anybody's going to do until they get there. But when they get there, though, we'll definitely make our voice known.
Absolutely, and I do believe that there was an invitation set out. So maybe he'll join us on the show and he can tell you guys for himself, right?
Yeah. Just to touch on something else, just to go off topic here, because we've been talking about this stuff. I just need to break the monotony, just because I'm really, really angry right now. I was out in Dwayne's province last weekend. We were teaching range safety officer courses out there, and that's another thing that the NFA does. We're a safety-oriented organization also, so we actually train range safety officers across the country. And anybody that wants to, you want to get some RSOs on your course, feel free to email me or Dwayne, and we'll set up a course, and we'll come out and we'll make a bunch of your people RSOs. We'll graduate them to RSO status, and it'll make the ranges safer. And you know what? Even if your guys are RSOs, our course is a really good course, but it's a lot of fun too. We have a lot of fun when we teach our course, and nobody walks away without a smile on their face. So, you just want to touch on that, Dwayne? Are your people happy out there after our course? Or
oh yeah. It's and of course the conversation of gun politics always comes up, right? So I mean, they're never happy about that, on considering the circumstances, but it's always a good course, good.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're amongst your peers. You're amongst, it's a part of our culture again, right? And everywhere you go in rural Alberta, like the hospitality everywhere, right? It's just it's the same in rural Ontario, right?
Yeah, I like to thank the people of Alberta. They really treated me well, and the hospitality was great. I had a really good few days out there.
So on that note, we've been going on for about almost 54 minutes now. I think we'll wrap it up there. For everybody that tuned in with us tonight, thank you so much. Stay tuned. Coming up on Tuesday, we'll have MP Leslyn Lewis on the show, and we look forward to talking with her. So thanks, guys, for tuning in, and have yourselves a good night.
See you, everyone.
Thanks for listening to this episode of NFA Talk. Like and follow the NFA on social media and sign up to become a member.